Awesome.
All right. Hello, Kazs. Nice to meet you here virtually. Everyone on our channel who follows Good Soil Investment, we do some interviews from time to time that I find of interest to the community. And I came across Kaz's YouTube channel, Cyberlift. We'll put it in the show notes, I'm sure, so people can check it out. I find it very fascinating. You tell us, in a brief elevator pitch, what you do with your YouTube channel so people can hear.
So I've been on YouTube for a little over a year now. Originally coming into this, I wanted to focus on all the data, the numbers, like how it's going patch to patch. I had a journal ready the second I got 10.2 back in October of 2021. And the channel didn't really kick off until I started getting customers involved. And that's where it got a lot more fun, because my profession at the time and up until about a year ago was full-time Uber and Lyft with my Tesla Model 3. And being able to incorporate FSD into that and get the real world customer reactions from people that aren't already in the Tesla sphere, and to see the genuine surprise or the questions or the overall mood became a pretty big focus. Probably 30 to 40% of my channel now is focused on the customer interaction portion.
Yeah, I find that the most exciting. I feel like it's like two birds, one stone. Like there's the curiosity of seeing other people drive the latest FSD version, which I have loved watching before I got access to it, especially. There's lots of YouTubers that do kind of, Chuck Cook, everyone's familiar with him. We interviewed him like a year and a half ago on our channel. And, he was one of the first prominent YouTubers doing that. There's lots of them doing it. But you combine that, like the other stone, two birds with one stone. The other stone is you combine it with customer reactions, not just of like accelerating fast, but just like how customers understand Tesla and the technology and how you kind of educate them. And, a lot of them have no idea about Tesla, and you're kind of brightening their eyes up. And it's amazing to see both happen at once on your channel. I find, and you keep it just the right length, because every Lyft ride is, between like 8 and 15 minutes typically, or 20 minutes at the most. And so it's a good length to watch. Anyone who hasn't checked it out, Kaz here has a great channel. It's CYBRLFT, just those letters.
Yeah.
That's the YouTube
sort of
channel.
Inspired by the Cybertruck graffiti art, plus, keeping the Y out of Lyft just in case. But yeah, there's the kind of pun built in is the Tesla Robotaxi Lyft thing.
Did you, just out of curiosity, is that your license plate too? That'd be pretty cool if you had a license.
That would be really cool. I have not been able to see if that's a possibility yet. And I'm also kind of saving that for whenever I get my Cybertruck, because then that'll make it all blend together the way it was supposed to.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So how many hours would you estimate you've driven Tesla FSD Beta total, if you had to guess?
So since FSD, I've actually got the numbers, including version 11. I'm closing in here on 1,200 total hours.
Wow.
700 of that is the city street side, and the other 500 roughly is the highway stuff, including the legacy code, before version 11 merged everything. So it's nice to sort of put it all under one category now.
So 700 of FSD Beta, not like autopilot, just FSD Beta is 1,200 hours total, would you say?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh
and the City Streets Beta side itself is around 700. And I treat that like operating miles or operating time. So that's only while it's active. So not including, just time in the car in general, but actually using it.
Yeah. And how many Lyft rides do you estimate you've given with the FSD Beta software, being applied?
That's a little bit tougher to hone in on. It's probably between 5,000 and 6,000 rides.
Whoa, 5,000 and 6,000 rides? I thought you were going to say 500 and 600. I was like going to be like, wow, 5,000, 6,000 extra zero. That's a lot. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, so it's kind of conflated a little bit, because I've got about 10,000 trips between Uber and Lyft overall since 2019.
Okay.
Probably about 9,000 of those being in a Tesla, because my first 1,000 or so was in a rental vehicle separate. But when I was first getting into it, before I was in the Tesla world as an owner. But even more specifically, I've got recorded about 1,200 actual Robotaxi trips where I specifically, from point A to point B, I'm judging it as a service. So of the 5,000 to 6,000 rides, about 1,200 of those are actually measuring it really strictly as a Robotaxi. But I use it with every customer. I mean, it's always getting turned on. I've only had, this might surprise you, about 3 people in this 5,000 to 6,000 that have actually asked me not to use it.
Really? That's it? Huh?
Yes.
They're just nervous. They're like, I don't want you to use it. And only 3 people have said that out of the 5,000 or so? Or Oh
It's
my God.
generally been kind of just nervousness around self-driving and AI. And by the end of the ride, they were a lot more comfortable with the idea, but out of, respect, I wouldn't use it with them just to make sure they felt safe and comfortable in the car. But yeah, 3 and
Wow.
5 to 6,000 is pretty impressive.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah. And this is like a really, I just want to stress, I think this is a really great service you're doing. It's like combining a good capitalism type job service with a good public service of educating the public and entertainment with your YouTube channel. You're just doing all these great things in one go. It's amazing. And I just want to thank you for your service of educating the public on this, because you don't have to do that. I mean, sure, it jives with setting up your YouTube channel, but I feel like there's more to it. Like I can tell by the way you talk that you genuinely want to advance the mission. And so I really appreciate you making this effort. And I hope your channel really takes off over time. I think it has a lot of potential. If it was a stock, I'd buy call options in it. That's what I would say.
Oh, I appreciate it a lot. That means a lot. I've definitely been an early fan. I've been following Tesla since they were first getting on the radar in the early 2000s. And I really started talking Tesla when I started using a Model S, thanks to a buddy of mine who runs a rental company in San Diego called Frunk Rentals. Early on with Uber and Lyft, I wanted to get my hands on a Tesla, but I didn't really have the funds yet to get my own. And when I started giving rides to people and started getting the questions and finding that I actually had the information to answer the questions, there was just this ignited excitement going back and forth with everyday people that are like, wow, this is so much different than I thought, or I thought this FUD was true, or that thing was true. And I was able to correct it and show people like, no, you can use it daily. You can road trip, you can charge. Here's a full map of all the chargers, and just organically educate. It's been a lot of fun.
So what percentage, if you had to like, I know you have some stats, which is great, but if you had to ballpark guess, like what percentage of those 5,000 Lyft rides, approximately that you've given with the FSD Beta and Tesla and such, what percentage of them do you think are like, that you've talked to? Maybe only half of them want to talk, or I don't know what percentage let me start at the high level. What percentage of them are like into talking? And a lot of people just want silence, right? So what percentage of those people like are into talking with you about this stuff?
Yeah, it's pretty easy to gauge that when they first get in, because usually the atmosphere is, oh my God, first time in a Tesla, or they'll sort of nerd out. But the majority of people, I would stress probably north of 70% of people, they're just hopping in, headphones into their phone, trying to get to their destination. And with them, I don't bother them. Yeah, I like to keep it organic. I don't want to come off as a salesman. And but of the 20-30% of people that do start talking, it gets really exciting.
And what percentage of those people? So maybe there's been like 30% of 5,000. That's 600 people, let's say. Okay, let's just ballpark. I'm just trying to think out loud here. So no, I'm sorry. That's 1,500 people. Sorry, 1,500 people. So is that right? 30% of 5,000. Yeah, 1,500 people, right? Yeah,
roughly. Yeah, it should be.
Yeah. So 1,500 people. What percentage of those people that are talkative or interested in talking do you think were relatively misinformed on the Tesla, like didn't know certain basic facts that you found, that normal people like me or other Tesla fanatic would find kind of surprising within our community? Like, oh, you didn't know that there's superchargers everywhere? Oh, you didn't know you can charge at home at night? Like, what percentage of those people do you think were relatively misinformed on some key things?
Overwhelming majority. If I had to put a number on it, between maybe 60-70% of people
Wow.
were at least
some basic
misinformed on one or two things.
That would be critical in a price making and a decision to buy it or not, obviously.
Sure. And then one of the biggest things, being surprised when I tell them how much I spent on my Model 3. We got it out the door for 42,000, and they hear that and mine's already blown. Yeah. Because they automatically think Model S, Model X pricing. Yeah. They have no idea that there's anything anywhere near, I don't know if I'd call it economical to be realistic, but affordable, attainable might be the better word.
That's incredible. So of all these people that are, then you have to say there's some bias because these people are already using Uber and Lyft, which is an app. So they have some kind of technology capability to use new technology of some sort, but they're not in our Tesla Twitterverse, Twitter bubble at all. And of those people, like 60 or 70% of those people seem very clueless about the affordability or some other basic,
affordability and charging. Those are the two biggest things that stand out. Yeah. Not understanding how fleshed out and available the supercharging network is. And then factor in on top of that, a little subcategory of price, being blown away when I tell them my average charging cost over the last 3 years is $12.
Wow.
Yeah. They're blown away. Yeah, absolutely.
So you probably sparked curiosity in like 1,000+ passengers that otherwise would not have had that curiosity about Tesla sparked in them from your ride. So really,
Yeah.
more Uber and Lyft drivers that do what you're doing. I think that's the best grassroots effort I can think of in the community right now is the Uber and Lyft drivers out there. Now, are there other, like there's forums, you guys share information. I think Uber and Lyft drivers I've heard. Are you on any of those like forums, or do you clubs, or you share information with other Uber and Lyft drivers? Not really.
Not as much as I'd probably like to be, especially now after Tesla's, or not, sorry, Hertz's purchase of so many Teslas, the big deal with, the 1,000 Model 3s and the Model Ys, there's a good portion of those going to Uber drivers and Lyft drivers as rentals. And it probably would behoove me to see if there's anything going on like in a Tesla Uber sphere that maybe I can start to get these drivers to the same level.
Yeah.
And I mean, with the amount, there's a lot, especially out here in San Diego. I'm seeing Tesla Ubers and Lyfts everywhere, and you can like eyeball the ones that are rented versus ones that are owned just based on, the way it looks, or the phone mount on top of the screen. I mean, I know some Tesla owners do that too, but it's kind of funny seeing the added stuff and the pictures and all. But I'm not, to answer your question, I'm not really involved in the forums.
Yeah. I'd be curious if someone in the comments who watches this has any information about those forums and if they see it catching on as a topic. Because I had in the reverse experience to you, I go into Lyft or Ubers. I just had one this weekend. I was in Portland for a Pokemon tournament with my son, and we were driving back to the airport. And the Uber driver was in a Toyota Tacoma pickup truck. And he's a very nice, smart guy about Uber, and he left his job to do this, and he's been doing it a lot full time. And I was talking to him about electric cars. I didn't even mention Tesla, and he was like unaware of the charging, but he's heard other Uber, Lyft people talking about it and stuff. And so he was very unaware of the advantages of driving an EV versus like a Toyota Tacoma, which is not very good gas. And he recognized that the gas mileage is not great for it, but he's doing it for now. So I just feel like there, even amongst the Uber, Lyft drivers, there's a lot of a lot of greener pastures out there still to be discovered,
Yeah.
People. Yeah. Just
I when I first started with the Uber and Lyft, I did keep the stickers on my car that said Uber and Lyft. For my own reasons. I took those down because I got tired of, let's say, transients trying to jump in my car at a 7-Eleven. Yeah. And it became a bit of a safety concern to have those stickers on there. But I would have other Tesla owners at supercharging stations come up and engage in conversation about me using my vehicle for Uber or Lyft and what I thought of it. And several of them ended up going out and becoming drivers themselves. With the San Diego Owners Club, I know of one or two guys whenever we have our meetups that we'll talk about Uber and Lyft and what's going on. And I think one of them does use FSD Beta as well. But there's a lot of potential out there with how many Teslas are being used now, thanks to that Hertz deal. And Uber and Lyft don't really do much of their own grassroots or information around it. There's some incentives for using an EV with Uber. You get an extra $1 per trip. With Lyft, there's a current bonus going on until December of 24, the $150 bonus every week for hitting 50 trips in an EV. So they're doing what they can to incentivize a little bit here and there, but there's not a lot of educational information about the benefits versus gas.
Yeah. And I want to talk about your kind of expertise, your experience. You have a lot of experience using FSD Beta. You're probably the top 0.0001% of all the people out there using FSD Beta in terms of hours driven on it. So, whether you're an expert like on the technology, James Download, probably not, but in terms of experience, you might be the number one, or you're probably the top 10 of all the people out there, to be honest, citing those hours of people actually using FSD Beta. I can't imagine someone else using it for that many thousands of hours already at this point. It's crazy. So, and all the different trips, and, you used a lot of city driving. So I wanted to go back to that in a second, but first, with your experience as the Lyft driver, you said you've been using Tesla since 2019 or 2020 for the last 3 or 4 years. Have you noticed a change? If you had to think about the common questions people were asking or were curious about back then with the Tesla versus now, have you noticed much change, or is it still pretty much that, 60 to 70% uninformed are still just as uninformed? Or have you noticed it progressing at all? Or is there any trend you see in the types of common questions or concerns they have? I'm just curious.
So the knowledge base around pricing and charging seems to still be pretty consistent as far as the number being clueless. More people are knowing how to get into my car without me telling them, which is kind of impressive.
Oh, yeah. I have to imagine with the door handle.
Yeah. I mean, every maybe 9 out of 10 trips, maybe more like 19 out of 20 trips, I'd be saying, press it on the back and grab it, or I reach back and just grab it myself. I got long arms. But now I would probably say it's closer to 50% of people. They just kind of go up and they know to press in on the thumb piece, which may be a nod to all of the Uber Teslas running around. As far as questions, though, they're pretty consistent. But there is a measure of increased excitement around EVs because people are asking me a lot about Rivian, about the F-150, about the Mustang,
I've
about
seen some
Polestar.
of your videos where people are asking about other EVs a lot, right?
So I think the overall awareness is raising, which would go right in with Tesla's mission of accelerating the transition, but they're still pretty clueless on the Teslas themselves. I think they just seem so out of reach because of, I don't know, maybe their tech prowess or maybe the crowd people typically would associate a Tesla driver to be. Because when they hear that I'm just a blue collar guy that got out of the military, worked at Home Depot and jumped into Uber and Lyft, they're blown away. I've had questions of whether or not I'm, a stock trader or, have my own business. And I'm a regular guy. I promise.
Yeah. A lot of these people have no Tesla fanatics like you and me in their bubble, right? So they don't, so you're probably the first Tesla fanatic they've ever interacted with. And a lot of these people, I would imagine. Yeah.
What I like to come off to is, as though I definitely have my bias towards Tesla and Elon's missions through SpaceX and all the things that he's doing in the tech and, automotive industry, space industry. I try to also show that there are options, not give him the vibe of me being the sort of Tesla or die type of a person.
Yeah.
Though 100% Tesla is the leader, and there's second place does, I think, need the James Webb Space Telescope to see them. But, but yeah.
Now, I wanted to ask you, with the FSD Beta now, do you think the cabin camera coming in, do you find it kind of like, I noticed, for me, I'm driving FSD Beta, and more lately, if I just look at my eyes at the screen for like more than a second, it gives me a beep. Do you notice that for you too? Have you noticed some more sensitivity with that cabin camera recently? Or, is that, what do you do? You just, obviously you have to keep focused on the road, and if you stay focused on the road, it won't do it. But like if you turn around to look at your passenger, I would imagine it beeps at you or something, right?
Well, I've had the rare case, I'll admit, that when I'm looking back over my left shoulder, when you're making a right turn trying to make sure traffic's clear, I've had it yell at me for that by looking over my shoulder too long, which is kind of funny because I'm like, I'm looking where traffic's coming from. Aside from that, I haven't noticed an increase. I don't know if I might be a little robotic because I am always in the car and use it so much. I've sort of like mind melded with it. So my tendencies and my ticks with how I manage nag and cabin camera is pretty consistent. But there are times when I'm maybe making sure that a route's correct or checking traffic and I'm looking down and it'll yell and say, hey, pay attention to the road. And that's usually for me on the highway. Okay. Even before version 11, the highway is usually where I got that nag, but I kind of do the sunglasses cheat code a little bit, which helps lessen
a little more leeway. I mean, it still catches you, but it's not like if my eyes are looking there for a second, it beeps me when I have the sunglasses on. You're right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And like the FSD Beta, have you had any issues? I mean, I know sometimes it navigates you a little differently and you kind of let it do its thing. And you've had some customers like try to micromanage how to get from point A to point B. And you're like, no, I'm just going to let FSD tell me how to get there, and it's funny to see that. But have you had FSD make any decisions where you felt like, so many hours, I would imagine there's got to be a couple instances where you were like really worried, like, wow, this should not have turned into this traffic or whatever. It should not have tried to turn. I did really like, have you had a lot of those? Or have you seen those come less and less over time? I guess, I mean, the life threatening decision, and it might not really be like, if you let it play out, it probably wouldn't, but it's just uncomfortable as a human.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable in some of these scenarios, right? Do you think that trend is trending right in terms of those types of decisions FSD Beta is making, or what's your experience?
Oh, absolutely. So I got FSD Beta with 10.2 in October, and it wasn't until January with 10.8.1 that I felt I both had enough time and experience on the system to know when it would act up and understood it well enough to think that it could handle dealing with paying customers, because the number one priority is to keep them comfortable and, not give them a reason to fret. But it is absolutely gone the right direction to the point to where now I'm complaining and griping on my channel about the fact that it's not perfect at staging routes. And I tell customers too that it's few and far between and hard to even remember the last time I've had an actual safety critical disengagement. It typically it maybe gets a little excessively uncomfortable if it does a little bit too much of the jerk side to side.
Yeah.
And I don't want the customer to look up and be like, what is wrong with this driver right now? Because the ones that aren't, bothered to talk, I'm not saying, hey, the car's self-driving. I'm just using it like you would cruise control in that sense. Because I'm there safe, I can take over if anything weird happens. But most of the time, it's if it gets uncomfortable or I'm going to have to take over with a customer, it'll be, maybe traffic in front of us hit the brakes pretty hard. And I can see that the system is about to get into that heavy braking that kind of puts you forward. And I'll just preemptively take over to make sure it's gradual.
Yeah.
I'm really in tuned with the certain areas in San Diego where I know it might act up and I get ahead of it by myself. I let it try whatever it possibly can. I'm ready. Like, let's go. But it's hard to get it to do something that would make you actually, maybe jump out of your seat a little bit. It's gotten really finessed. It's probably the best finesse, control, confidence. These are the things that come to mind now with version 11.
Yeah, absolutely. And so from starting out with the FSD beta, doing the Uber Lyfts, you probably, obviously there's a trend going in the right direction. What percent, if you had to try to guess, what percentage of rides were zero intervention in the first few months versus what percentage of rides in this latest version are zero intervention? What would your guesses be? It's just to try to, if you just, there's not, you didn't keep stats of this probably, but what
Oh yeah, no, I've got all those stats from at least
do?
from 10.8 on when I started using customers.
Oh, wow.
And 10.8.1 or the 10.8 series, we had 10.8 for a long time and it was 50-50.
Okay.
About half of the rides were fails, and typically those were dumb mistakes like missing a turn or construction.
And just to reiterate, this is not like life-threatening mistakes. It's just like mistakes where you just have to take over to like make it change a lane that it didn't change the lane.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Or there might have been maybe one or two instances where it felt like it might accelerate when you're at a red light, where it kind of does its little thing where it's jerking forward a little bit. Yeah. And in a lot of those cases, I'll just take over just to make sure.
Yeah.
Or right on reds is another one. If I know it's going to take a right on red, it's sort of unfair. I have a category in my data called system limitations, and I put it there because it's not really fair to judge it for U-turns or right on reds if it can't execute that maneuver.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, about 50-50 on 10-10, or sorry, 10-8. 10-10 dropped down a bit. 10-10 went down around 40%. 10-11 went up to 61 and was the champion. 10-11-2 was, I sung its praises forever.
Wow.
And then unfortunately 10-12 and 10-6-9 just went down all the way down to about 25%. But then version 11 kicked us right back up to high 50s. Currently 11.3.6 with my trips is at 54%.
Wow. And so there's 11.4 coming out. That's not, you're not using 11.4 yet. That's 11.3.
Not yet. I'm really excited.
Coming soon.
Yeah, there's a lot of hype around 11.4.1 and I can't wait to see what it can do, because even 11.3.4 was really good. I was kind of.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. You're fine.
All those stats you mentioned, you have it and you have it in the back of your head, which is great. And you've got it recorded. Do you have like charts and stuff like Excel, like graphs or anything with those?
Yeah.
Kind of showing it. Do you put that on? I haven't seen that on your channel. Have you put that on your channel yet? Showing that stuff?
So it is, and it doesn't have a lot of love and attention yet, and it's starting to come back. So the most recent one is from about 2.5 weeks ago. I called them my Robotaxi reports.
Okay, I'm gonna look that.
And that whole episode, I have a whole playlist. I'm up to 15 episodes on that, and it goes back a ways. And I've actually, like a good buddy of mine, Elias Martinez on Twitter, has that FSD Beta community tracker you might have seen, where it's got like 150 people going in. And he's helped me cook up something pretty awesome that I'm excited to do for the next Robotaxi report that really freshens up all the data. Because I show disengagement causation, like what is actually causing it, what percentage of disengagements are this or that, whether it's system errors, human obstacles, whatever the case, route staging, disengagements over time, difference between the patches, including all these stats I've mentioned about the Robotaxi results is what I call it, with the trips. And yeah, you can, there's a whole playlist on the channel if anybody's curious. I like the data stuff's what I wanted to do. That was going to be my main focus, but I couldn't say no to the entertainment and the feedback from the audience with the customer stuff. And it all sort of goes together with the Robotaxi thing. So, but yeah. And I plan to scale. I want every 2 weeks or so, I'm trying to get out a Robotaxi report to show it, especially now with version 11, because things are really cooking in the right direction. But
yeah, let me know when the latest one. I'll have you on my channel list, so I'll watch. I'll definitely retweet it, because I think that there's be a ton of people in the community that aren't aware of you yet that would be very interested in that type of information you can put out. That's great. Now, what other are there any other like stats that you think, or anything that you are tracking that you think that's somewhat quantifiable, or something that you feel is like interesting signal versus noise or something like that? Anything you can think of that we haven't talked about?
Well, one thing that I'm starting to play with that is going to be seen in the next report is actually measuring out locales or regions and how different areas measure in difficulty. Like I've commented on my channel several times that like downtown San Diego used to be a no-go zone. It couldn't handle not necessarily the direction of traffic with one ways, but the amount of times you would have delivery trucks in the street. We have quite a pretty massive homeless problem in San Diego, and downtown's full of it, and trying to navigate around people can be difficult in that regard. But then there are certain areas like getting up into San Marcos and Vista where the system just seems to own it all day. It's just the roads maybe are just clear, more high def, I guess, to use a term that the system would appreciate, really good lane lines, wide spaces, and it kicks butt all through there. So I'm actually trying to lay out basically like a heat map that shows, the areas of San Diego or everywhere I go. Sometimes my trips take me up into the LA area, or into Victorville, San Bernardino. And I want to be able to show like, yeah, these regions could probably have a Robotaxi service in a couple of years because it's so good here. However, this region over here, like Chula Vista, San Diego downtown, maybe not yet. That's really the only big thing that I'm trying to put together. But I'm always looking for new ideas or ways to test or things that might come up, since I can actually see the firsthand kind of business transportation as a service approach.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think that would be incredible, that type of heat map thing. If anyone watching this in the comments has any suggestions for other types of things, I'm sure Kaz would be open to ideas, and I'm sure your channel has lots of ideas down your comments and such too. So I'm looking forward.
I love all the feedback. The audience has been amazing. There's a lot of really great like software engineers and developers that'll come in the comments and educate me, because I pride myself on being an educator in like a science communicator type of way. Like I can know something well enough to communicate it properly, and I might get something wrong and then immediately correct it, but I don't profess to be an expert in neural nets or any of the actual technology.
Now have you ever I think I heard in one of your videos that you have done some contracting work for Tesla to help deliveries at the end of the quarter a couple times. What's that experience like? Is it just like a mad rush? Everyone's just like trying to adapt quickly to push what's it like, the culture doing when you get involved at Tesla like that, just from an employment, type of experience? I mean, it's not really, you weren't employed officially by Tesla, contracting through another company, I think, but you're within the realm of the Tesla workforce, obviously. What any kind of feedback or anything interesting about that you noted?
Well, yeah, it was an awesome experience. My first time doing it was in Q4 2019. And of course, I was just completely elated and geeked out. So I was probably a bit ridiculous getting in there. And they were pretty impressed that I knew how to throw the cars around, like back them into the tight spots, because my position was in logistics and sort of a branch of QA too, because the big trucks would come into our offsite parking lots where we stash the cars, inspect them, pull all the taping off, and make sure that they're good to go for delivery. And my first experience it wasn't flustered, so to speak, but it seemed like they were trying to figure out a way to get more organized with bringing in the extra employment. But I did this for 2 years, maybe 3, in different quarters, like couple of Q4s, some Q1 and 2s. I was a part of the very first Model Ys to show up. I got to inspect some of the first ones that came off the truck, which was really cool.
That's neat.
Same with the Plaid Model S's. I got to drive probably like 20 Plaids, maybe 30 long ranges, got to experience the yoke and everything. But they got really good at bringing us in pretty much on not on a schedule, so to speak, but they had a routine. K&A Solutions is the temp agency that worked with Tesla. And once we were already a part of it, it was kind of easy to pull us in and bam, we're good to go. We would sign in and do all of our stuff through K&A separately. And then we would just follow our leads at Tesla, whether they were offsite logistics crew or delivery. They would sort of pull the groups of people where they needed them, whether it was detailing cars, helping out at the delivery center with customer deliveries, or doing what I did, which was just making sure that they were ready.
Neat. And what's like for that type of job, what's like, you might not be able to comment specifically on Tesla, maybe with stuff, but for that type of role that you were playing, that type of job, like inspecting, what's like the most common things that you think that cars like have defects or quality issues on that have to, be adjusted or fixed or whatnot before delivery? What's like the most common things that you think in that, are discovered?
Most common things would probably be the vehicles that you could tell were maybe a little rushed, and you might look inside and a panel wasn't actually put on.
Mm.
but it's an easy snap in place and now it's good to go kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's indicative of really trying to get that final rush to get all the cars that they can out. But nothing really stood out as a consistent issue that kept popping up. But I mean, there definitely are some initial issues that get ironed out very quickly, especially when you have people that can relay the message being like, hey, this set of vehicles here have this problem. And then the next set of vehicles that come in, that problem's not there anymore. They're very quick to make sure it's taken care of, but there wasn't really too much that stood out. Some of them came in really dirty, like really dirty, that might need to have the paint corrected because of rock chips or something during delivery. If maybe the plastic wrapping or something might come off when they're delivering. I imagine that's a problem with pretty much any business transporting autos.
Yeah. Interesting. Have you ever, one question I had was like, have you ever considered applying for more serious like FSD tester type of role at Tesla? I mean, you seem like you'd be an incredible asset, but they probably, they have a huge screening of millions of applications. They probably have no idea. I kind of hope at this point with your channel and what you're doing, I kind of hope you would not get poached from that, because if you did get hired by Tesla, you'd probably have to stop all this that you're doing.
Yeah. There probably would be some conflict of interest there, or things that I would then be privy to knowing that it's like, all right, well, I can't really take the chance of blowing that out.
But I think you have a very bright future in this kind of role you've carved for yourself with this channel and what you're doing. I think this, like I said earlier, if you were a stock, I'd buy, maybe even medium term call option instead of long term. I
appreciate it. Yeah.
Just because I think, your channel I've come across a lot of channels, and I think you just do a really good job with production quality and picking the right rides. And I noticed some of the people in the cars, like it's really, I think the channel, the videos you do where the people are not sure about things, you're kind of educating them. While it excites you, I think all the Tesla fanatics, us watching it, we get excited too, just seeing you, open the eyes up of someone new who's like, what? I thought these were $100,000 cars. You got to afford it. What, you can charge it at your home? I didn't know that, all these questions when you see the real life reality channel of you doing it at the same time, your FSD beta, and then in the middle of a question, you're like, oh, look at that turn there. It's like so you get like all this cool stuff in one video. It's really neat what you're doing.
Yeah. I love seeing the excitement in the comments too, where I'll get plenty of people that are saying like, they're, what you basically just said, good ambassador for the mission and the product. Many people are like, man, if the referral program was still going on, you would have all this stuff just coming in, and others saying that I should get FSD for free or get hired by Tesla. And I'm like, I appreciate it. Thanks. I'm just doing what I can.
No, the referral program, if that comes back, which I suspect there's a decent chance it will, if they continue to produce, increase their rate of production capacity faster, as fast as they're planning to. And if demand at these current prices doesn't continue to, keep up pace with the growth in this macroeconomic environment with high interest rates and such, then I think instead of cutting prices, financing and the referral program are the two things I think that they bring back most likely. And the referral program would be amazing. You could just have like a business card you give the people, like, after you talk to them, be like, hey, if they're interested, be like, hey, if you're ever going to order one, you can email me questions, and here's a code to give you 5,000 miles for supercharging for free, or whatever they offer with it,
Yeah, exactly. I probably would have free charging forever. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I heard you say in one of your videos, I've been happy to listen to a lot of your videos in the last 2 weeks, just, like maybe 10 of them. I don't know. But one of them, you mentioned that like the Model X is like your dream Uber car, right?
Yeah.
Well, I happen to have, I don't know, maybe we can talk later or something, but I happen to have my old Model X. It's from 2016 or 18, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it has the free supercharging for life, but it's only 200 miles of range. But, we can talk offline later if that's of interest to you, because the free supercharging for life for an Uber driver, that's pretty valuable, It
really is. So when I actually really owe a big thanks to two people that come to mind, Ryan McCaffrey being one, when he brought me to the Cybertruck event and showed me the Tesla world from the inside, and took me from being just a fan to wanting to really be completely all about the company, the product, get into it. And then thanks to my buddy Chad with Frunk, and being able to use the Model S, it was a 2016 75 Model S with free supercharging for lifetime charging. And I had got about 180 miles on it. And I would just plug in at the Fashion Valley Mall, juice up in about 45 minutes, because it was only 72 kilowatts at the time. And I ran that thing like crazy. I probably put too many miles on his car. But he also had some Model X's and such. And I used a Model X for one day, which is how I know how much I loved it, because you roll up to customers, especially if you've got a family with luggage going to the airport, and you just tap the buttons on the screen and all the doors are opening
That's
up.
awesome. Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
it was the coolest
It's like
experience.
a flower blossoming,
Yes, it is.
Amazing.
And the kids lost their mind. The parents' jaws were just dropped to the floor. I was like, this right here, that's the ultimate flex and rideshare vehicle.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Ryan McCaffrey, for those of you that don't know, is amazing. He's like the original Tesla podcaster. He had I think the first major Tesla podcast channel started way back
5 or 6 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, maybe longer, because I think he started it 2 or 3 years before the Model 3 went to production. At least, because I remember listening to it way back in 2014, even, or 13, maybe.
With him standing in line of the first Model 3s.
Yeah, way back.
Totally.
He's a legend. He's a legend.
Absolutely.
I went on his channel once. I met him. He lives not too far, and he came up and test drove my Plaid one time. Very good guy. And I mean, it's good that you're friends with that you're friends with him too. Have you ever considered, I mean, does he come down to San Diego and you see him sometimes in San Diego, or?
Yeah. He's had reasons to be down here, and we'll get together for lunch. When I went driving up to Eugene, I met him in San Francisco in his area, and we got some beautiful pictures of Mew, my Model 3, next to the Spirit of Adventure. I was like, this is awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, great, genuine guy. And I definitely recommend, if there's a Tesla fan that doesn't know about him, you need to fix that right now.
Yeah, exactly. He's like a fanatic of Tesla like no other. And I love his video game, expertise as well. Tried to pick his brain a few times on things there. It's pretty cool. But that's his main job. And have you considered maybe, I think would be cool to roll into your channel if you thought about it, or you could even subset it out or something, but you could have driving with Kazs or something. I don't know, but it'd be like an interview. You interview Ryan McCaffrey when he comes down to San Diego, pretend you're giving him a Lyft
would be
ride,
awesome.
And just give him do a 20 or 30-minute interview with him in the back seat, and you just chatting why
FSD Beta on. Yes. Oh man, that would be amazing. That'd be a blast. I'd be down to do that.
For all us Tesla fanatics, it'd be amazing, because you think about all the new TikTok trends and all this stuff. It's people doing multi things, right? You're people playing video games at the same time. Something else is going on. Well, here you're interviewing someone someone's really interested in why you're driving FSD Beta. It's the ultimate, for Tesla fanatics. I think it'd be really cool. I'll come down to San Diego and let you know if I come down sometime, and you could interview me even, or whoever. That'd be anyone in the community. Yeah.
We'll kind of switch roles, and you'll be part of the FSD customer reactions. Oh man. Yeah. That'd be a big hit. No doubt.
That'd be cool. It could be your special one-off videos you do from time to time. Look who I picked up this time, let's chat.
Hopefully people can keep up as we lose our minds and geek out over everything.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be awesome. So that's cool, man. I mean, I think there's a lot of promise in what you're doing. And, is there anything we haven't covered that you wanted to talk about with what you're doing with your channel, and, just the trends you're seeing, or the mission, or anything that you want to talk about before we move on to the charity you picked?
Nothing really big comes to mind too much. I do every now and then, I'm starting to see a little bit more excitement around Cybertruck. People are getting more and more excited that that's hopefully coming around the corner. I was just telling customers this morning that, Q3, Q4 of this year, we might actually start to see the first deliveries. Yeah. So I know a lot of people are anticipating Cyber. I've been a massive fan, day one reservation holder on it, so I'm just as excited.
Oh, you're gonna
can't wait to see that thing.
You're gonna drive that thing as a Lyft. That'll be awesome. Oh my god.
That's you nailed it. That's the reason for my channel name. That's the Cyber Lyft.
That's gonna be great.
It just happened early when I got FSD Beta, but I always wanted to have the cameras with people getting into the Cybertruck and just losing it. This is real.
Yeah. So one off question that's a little off topic. I want to ask you: how come you name your car Mew? Was it because of Pokemon, or was it?
I get that a lot though.
And there's a big thing card. Yeah.
No, so actually it comes from me being a cheesy fan of Nordic mythology and my own Scandinavian background. And my car's actual name is Mjolnir, which is Thor's hammer. And my wife would always call him Mew Mew. So it just stuck. I just started calling him Mew one day. And that's probably one of the most common questions I get is, what is Mew? I'm Mew's the car, Mjolnir, nickname Mew. We have our Model Y is Bender Hugh Jazz Rodriguez, Hugh Jazz.
Oh wow, that's cool. That's cool.
But yeah, that's the story behind Mew.
Cool. All right. Well, Kaz, what part of the Good Soul Investment channel is we try to, increase giving back with capitalism to, so capitalism is seen as not only like for greedy pigs, but also like can benefit others when people are successful. So I've been very fortunate, benefactor of capitalism with my previous jobs and investing and, doing well. And I have this fund and half the fees go to charity. So we allocate the charity based on the interview guests. We haven't had a lot of fees to allocate, but we certainly do have fees. So we're going to allocate 10,000 to a charity of your choice. I think you mentioned which charity did you pick and why, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I picked St. Jude's Research Hospital pretty quickly. It's with breakthroughs in medical science, with our progress with gene editing and the CRISPR technology and all, and the way we're attacking cancers. This is one of the probably the foundation with the most research in childhood cancer and treating it, and the breakthrough they've made, the lives they've impacted. And it for me also goes hand in hand with how beautiful it was that the Inspiration 4 mission from SpaceX, they donated so much money to St. Jude's, and we got to see a nurse that works in that field up there in space, bringing that motivation to everybody. And I don't know, it was very impactful, and I couldn't think of a better charity to throw in as well.
Yeah, that's great. Great. I'm glad you picked that. Children's hospitals, incredible, mission. And it's, there's a lot of suffering in this world. And, the people, I think, we want to see the least it happen to least as children, of course, in my mind, they're the most innocent. And, so yeah, I think that's a great charity. We'll donate 10,000 to St. Jude's. I'll send you the proof of that later on, just so you see it and so forth. So
it's exciting, man.
Yeah. And thanks for coming on the channel. Really appreciate it. And I look forward to watching more of your videos and so forth. So keep it going. And yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time with this. This was really exciting. Thank you.